All right. Just scroll past those like ultimate checklist blog posts. Like, yeah, I know all this.
Totally.
But today we're doing a deep dive on one that actually caught my eye.
Okay.
Not because it's like groundbreaking,
Yeah.
but because I think there are some real gems hiding beneath the surface.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
We're going all the way to Australia,
Ooh, Australia.
grabbing some virtual coffee with Now Technology Systems.
Okay.
They're a web design company down under.
Got it.
And they have this blog post titled, Ultimate Brand Design Checklist for Effective Marketing Success.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds very just like typical business advice.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
But trust me on this one.
Okay.
There's more to it than meets the eye.
I'm ready.
I'm hearing you, though. Those checklists can be a bit been there, done that.
Right. Like, tell me something I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I find fascinating about this one is that it really highlights these universal principles of building a strong brand.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, clearly geared towards Aussie businesses.
Interesting.
It's that whole like architectural principle, form follows function.
I like that. Yeah.
Before you even consider the aesthetics of your brand.
Right.
You need that rock solid understanding of its purpose and its values.
Totally. Like a building needs a strong foundation to support its design, right?
Exactly. Okay, so they kick things off with like the usual suspects,
Sure.
defining your brand identity, nailing down your mission, values, the basics.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying there's more to it than just like checking those boxes.
Way more. It's so tempting to just like rush through those foundational elements, you know?
Right.
But honestly, they are crucial.
Yeah.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
Without a clear understanding of who you are as a brand and what you stand for,
Mm-hmm.
how can you possibly communicate that effectively to your audience?
Ooh, good point.
It's like trying to build a house on sand.
Right.
You need that solid ground.
Yeah, you're going to have a bad time.
Exactly.
So before you even think about logos, color palettes,
Right.
you really have to do that deep work and define that core.
Yeah.
Because if you skip that part, it's just window dressing, isn't it?
It's just a pretty facade.
Exactly.
This checklist is like a breath of fresh air because it reminds us that authenticity resonates,
Mm-hmm.
when you build your brand on this strong foundation of genuine values and purpose.
Yeah.
It shines through in everything you do.
It is.
And that's what attracts people.
Makes sense.
Builds that trust and makes you memorable.
It's like that saying, people buy why you do it, not what you do.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
And speaking of understanding your audience,
Okay.
this is where I think that Aussie angle comes in.
Yes.
Because the checklist talks about leveraging Australian trends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you might not be, down under.
Right.
Not everyone has a boomerang hanging in their office.
Right.
So what's the universal takeaway here?
That's a great question. And you know what? It's not about adopting Australian culture.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that what resonates in one part of the world might totally fall flat in another.
That's a good point.
Right. So it's about understanding your specific target audience's cultural context.
Okay.
It's like reading the room, or in this case, reading the continent.
Reading the continent. I like that.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like learning the local lingo before you like travel somewhere new.
Oh, I like that.
You want to make sure that your message is coming across loud and clear.
For sure, 100%. And speaking of clarity, this checklist also emphasizes the importance of consistency in branding.
Okay.
They're talking about being consistent with your colors, your fonts, your imagery, even your brand voice.
Right, like choosing a visual language and really sticking to it.
Totally.
Why is that so important, though? It seems like such a small detail.
Yeah, it seems like a small detail, but
in the grand scheme of things.
But it's actually more about like psychology than aesthetics,
Really?
Yeah. So our brains are wired to recognize patterns and make connections, right?
Right.
So every time that you see a brand's consistent look and feel, it reinforces their identity in your mind.
Okay.
Think about like those iconic brands, the ones that we all know.
Right.
They've mastered that consistency.
Well, I told you could spot their billboard from a mile away.
Exactly.
Even without seeing the logo, just based on like the colors and the style.
100%. And that instant recognition, it builds trust, right?
Okay.
Like seeing a familiar face in a crowd.
Right.
You might not know them personally,
right,
but that familiarity,
yeah,
it creates that sense of comfort.
Makes sense. And reliability, and that's what you want your brand to evoke in people. Right.
So it's not just about being like visually appealing.
Right.
It's about creating this like memorable and trustworthy experience.
100%. Yeah, this checklist is reminding us that branding is not a one-time project. It's an ongoing process.
Okay.
It requires this consistent effort to cultivate that recognition and build that lasting impression.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the why of branding.
Yes.
But what about the how?
Okay.
Are there any actionable takeaways?
Yeah, for sure.
That our listeners can, use today to start applying these principles?
Totally. Actually, this checklist, it kind of inspired me to think about my own brand preferences.
So think about a brand that really resonates with you, one that you genuinely connect with, and ask yourself, what is it about their branding that appeals to you?
Is it their logo? Their color scheme?
Yeah.
The way they talk to their audience?
Totally. Or maybe even...
What is it that really makes them stand out to you?
Yeah, it's probably a combination of elements, honestly.
Right.
All working together really, really well.
Right, and that's kind of the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
It's creating that cohesive experience that it just clicks.
It's that feeling you get when you walk into, a well-designed room.
Totally.
And everything just makes sense.
You can't put your finger on it, but it's like, I like this.
Yeah. It just feels right, And that brings us to, I think, another important takeaway from this checklist.
Okay.
It's not just for businesses.
Oh, okay.
Even if you aren't running a company or anything, you still have a personal brand, whether you realize it or not,
That's true, yeah.
Think about how you present yourself online.
Okay.
Is it consistent with, the image you're trying to project?
Oh, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Is your LinkedIn profile, super polished and professional?
Right.
But then, your Instagram is just memes and cat videos.
Exactly. Exactly. Think about, what's the message that you're putting out there? Does it really reflect, your values, your personality?
It's this checklist is secretly about self-awareness.
Yes.
But, in a fun way.
Yes. I love that. And, this checklist, it wraps up with a really crucial reminder, too.
Okay, what's that?
Test and iterate.
Oh.
Branding isn't one and done,
Right.
It's this, constant process,
You're always refining it.
It's exactly. Because the world changes. We change. Our goals change.
Right, you gotta stay relevant.
Exactly. You gotta stay relevant. And that's what makes this checklist, honestly, so valuable.
Okay.
It's not just a set of rules.
Yeah.
It's more like a framework for thinking critically about your brand.
Don't love that.
And making sure it's really working for you, know?
So we went all the way to Australia.
We did.
Explored this checklist, which, at first glance might have seemed simple.
Totally.
But it was packed with all this great stuff.
So many gems.
About building a brand that really connects. So
absolutely.
As you go forth and, take on the world of branding.
Yes.
Just remember, every interaction is a chance to make an impression.
It's true.
So what's one small change you can make today to enhance your brand a little bit?
Totally. Even if it's just updating your profile picture or changing your bio or something.
Yeah, those little tweaks can go a long way.
100%. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
And until next time, happy branding, everyone.
Happy branding.